Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Cinema Circle, the show where we talk and do movie reviews of all your favorite releases coming out of Hollywood. The show that is for the fans, by the fans. I'm your host for today, Mr. Zander VonJevy, and joining me as usual is Kiki SB.
What's up everyone?
Anthony Who Knows.
What's up guys?
And joining back with us is Alex Orlandi.
How you doing?
Nice to be back.
Absolutely.
Alright, cool. Alright, the movie that we're talking about today is Justice League. Let's check it out. I have to pass this off to the person who's been waiting for this movie for since he was a little boy. Anthony, what was the good about this movie? Please.
Oh man, there's a lot. I feel like if I were to go through all of it, we could take the whole episode. But first thing I gotta mention is casting. I think casting, we can all agree, was pretty much on point for Aquaman, for Superman, for Wonder Woman, for The Flash. I think they did a really good job of picking the people that could portray these characters, and with that, they chose people who had good chemistry. I think all six of them kind of work really well with each other. They balance each other really well. The dialogue fit really well with each other as well, so I think that was on point. Another thing I feel like I want to applaud them for too is the fact that they were able to prove that you can make a movie with all of these characters without having solo movies prior. I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
Because Marvel did with the Avengers, we all had the solo movies. Mm-hmm. This movie proved that you don't have to do that, as long as you introduce them in such a way where it doesn't feel like they're just thrown in there. Mm-hmm. I think they did a good job of doing The Flash and doing Cyborg and doing Aquaman, while at the same time still making them feel like, okay, we know these characters, but we're gonna have to wait for the solo movies to come after.
I really think that was a strength for them going into this, to not take the Marvel approach. I felt like it was very necessary for them to have a movie where they could all come together first and then spread out after.
Something that I really like and appreciate and respect is that all three movies, as in Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, they all connect as one story. You get Superman, he destroyed Metropolis, and then Batman v Superman is the after effects of that. And then this, or the aftermath of that, and then this movie is the aftermath of his death. Right. So it's like, it just connects really well. It's one long story.
Yeah,
that's what I really appreciate. They made it, they stuck to what happened in Man of Steel and carried it on up until the end of this movie. So
yes.
The biggest thing that I would say was my favorite part of the whole movie was pacing. Finally, because usually every DC movie feels either rushed or it's like dragging too long. I think this one was really good. They took their time, they told the origin really quickly, but in a way where it still fit for the rest of the movie. So I think pacing was like the best part of this movie.
Kiki, the good.
Okay, the good. So, Batman, of course. I think the fight scenes were really well done. I think that the characters all had chemistry, and I'm gonna agree with Anthony and say that the pacing was on point. Like they opened the movie, they just started bam, 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 like telling you everybody's story. They went from one place to the other, not too fast, but fast enough for you to understand what was going on. The dialogue, the script was good, the setting was good, like everywhere they went was good. The technology, like all their little, the Batcave looked amazing. Flash's lounge, his little, wherever that was, his garage, I think it was. Yeah, that was so good. The costumes were on point, of course, we've seen them all before. And I just think it was well put together. This puts them in a different league or lane than Marvel.
Oh yeah.
And that's what makes it so great.
Yeah. Like
the rivalry now, everybody's looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because we did have Thor just come out, and nobody cares anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
For me, I have to say that I got what I wanted from this movie. I only wanted one thing from this movie, and that was for Superman to be evil when he came back. And that was by far my favorite scene in the movie. Like you could feel the fear from him, right? And I really appreciated that. And everybody was kind of like, "Yo, you need to relax. Like you need to relax." And I didn't know, but he's not good, right? And it's just like I felt that.
Say for me, I think that's my favorite scene.
Yeah, mine too. My favorite scene.
When Flash is just like, "I'm gonna come in here and do this, whatever," and then when he noticed that Superman was just looking at him, like in real time, like his real time, he was like, "What the fuck is this?"
And the way he like stumbled after.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. So that was my favorite scene of the movie, and then my second favorite scene of the movie was definitely the Amazons taking on Steppenwolf. They were like, they're all in. They hold nothing back. and they just kept going. Like, they don't care whether they're weaker than him or what. They just knew what they had to do, and they did it to the full potential that they could do it. I love that scene of the movie. Other than that, I'm gonna agree with you guys. The casting was great. I think that everybody did such a good job in their role. Like, such an amazing job. Like, you could really tell that they actually put time and effort into the characters. All right, Alex.
I think I love the movie. Okay, just say that straight up. Considering the development hell this went through, I think this could have been a giant mess. It wasn't, and considering there were 2 directors on this, it only says 1. The fact that there wasn't much of a tone difference. If we sat there, we could probably pick it out. If we really analyzed it, said, okay, Zach, Joss, Zach, Joss, right? But I didn't feel it the way I thought I would. I was really worried that it'd be like 2 different movies. And I didn't feel that. I was walking into this movie, I didn't give a rat's ass about Aquaman or Cyborg, Flash. I literally called to my friends, I'm like, let's go see Batman. Like, it's not Justice League to me while I was walking in. So the fact that this movie, specifically Aquaman and Cyborg, surprised the hell out of me. I want to see these guys now.
Me too.
I want to see solo movies
I
now.
wanna see a lot.
I did not care in the least for those characters or solo movies in my head for these guys. And it goes back to your point about how they got me before a solo movie. You don't need solo movies to bring me into a character.
Right.
And that was it was risky of DC to do it that way. Different, but I like different. The fact that they're trying to take this stand and they're trying to make it work, there are some of us out here who appreciate it.
Yes.
And the fact that you're trying to do something different, and you can't do it like Marvel does it, man. And I'm a DC fan speaking. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's better, I'm not saying it's worse, I'm saying you gotta find your way.
Yes, create your own lane. All right, let's move. I know there's a bunch of good for this movie, and sometimes they need the push, they need the credit, because they need the confidence, but there's always some bad to the movie. So let's start off with the bad. Tony.
Yours?
Yeah, we're just gonna go around.
Let's see. I wouldn't say this is a bad,
Well, then it's
because
not bad.
this is something that they could have done better, but because they did this, for the reason I'm about to say, it's okay. I think Steppenwolf could have been better, in the sense that like, I feel like he wasn't threatening enough. I feel like he didn't have enough screen time for us to feel like, or for me to feel like, he was actually a threat to the league. It sounded like more like he was a myth that they had to like stop. Whereas opposed to like they experienced his danger, and so they said we gotta stop this before it gets worse. But the reason I like it is because they sacrificed his screen time to showcase more of the chemistry of the league. Which is why I say it's okay, but something they could have done better, I feel like, is make him more threatening, make him a villain that you need to stop.
I feel like, honestly, out of all of them, I feel like I expected a little bit more from the Flash. I think everybody was amazing, but I did expect a little bit more from the Flash because he's such a great actor and he did play the role well. I felt like he could have been written a little bit better. Maybe I have to be more lenient on him because he's just coming into his powers, I'm guessing. But, and there is room for him to grow. There's definitely room for all these characters to grow, but he did not reach the expectation level that I had in that.
I think part of the reason they made the Flash the way he was is because I feel like because he is such a character, he might take the spotlight. So they kind of dimmed him down, so it didn't look like he's taking the spotlight from Aquaman or from Cyborg, and I kind of like that. I think the fact that they kind of just toned him down a bit, balanced really well, and made Aquaman.
If he was like really strong doing the most, Aquaman would have been nowhere.
Exactly.
He wouldn't have been important.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can agree with that. The reason why?
Because take this, the Flash is OP. Like he is a beast. If he was his full potential, Aquaman would look like nothing.
I'm not saying use your full potential right now. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, you could do a little bit more than saying, oh, you could save one person.
I thought the Flash was a complete jackass. While I understand why they did what they did with his comedic garbage constantly, I understand why, and that was requested, by the way. It wasn't originally like that. They literally amplified his comedic
And it felt like it.
Mhm.
And that's what I did,
stuff,
yeah.
and it was forced.
Yes. You can tell that he
Right?
was amped, and I did not.
That said, that was probably one of the only times or the only character I felt that way with.
The CGI was overkill for me. I hate CGI. You guys all know how much I hate it. And it's just like the mustache was distracting, the fact that they had to edit that and CGI that. Like his face just looked rough. Like it just didn't look
Well, didn't look
natural.
like him.
Yeah, it didn't look like him. He didn't look like it was him in the physical. Another minor bad, because I don't have a lot. Another minor bad was the focus on Flash's jokes too. Like it was too much, you know. Like it kind of reminded me. It took me out of the story, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, stand-up comedy. And it's just like, okay, let's get back into it now. I loved them, like I laughed, but it was just a little bit too much, especially with the whole eyes thing. Like
He did that
at
a lot.
least, yeah, he
Did
did
that a
it
lot.
at
He
least
did that a
4
lot.
times.
And it took away from the when he did it to Superman.
Yeah, because
it could have
we
been
already
way
saw
more
it.
epic.
It would have been
Yeah.
our whole cinema would have been
Yeah.
laughing if we hadn't seen that yet.
Yeah,
Like, everybody
exactly.
would have been laughing their ass off. And that's all bad for me. Like everything else is blessed.
Honestly,
Everything else is blessed. I like the movie. It was
yeah, it was a
good.
good movie. There's not a lot of bad things I would say. There's something though. I'm surprised you didn't mention it.
It's probably something that I had in my head.
Um,
I know what it is.
is
No,
the
it
part-
definitely is.
Yeah.
The part when, only because you mentioned it in the theater and I was like, yeah, I agree, is when Superman was brought back to life,
Mhm.
it was Lois Lane
Yeah.
that kind of humanized him and not his mother.
The Martha moment
Yeah.
of the movie was not Martha.
Right? Oh, that's so true.
I'll tell you why. It's because everybody roasted the fact that in
Oh,
Batman
the-
vs
Oh, you know,
Superman,
that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
everybody
That's
roasted
true,
yeah.
like flames.
And I just want to say, Josh Whedon coming in, doing this or whatever, I kind of didn't appreciate some of the comedies that he threw in for some of these characters that shouldn't have had comedic moments. Like my boy Superman said something, and I was just like, why? Like I don't know him to be like that.
You know that wasn't Zack Snyder, right?
I know that
We
wasn't
know,
Zack
we
Snyder.
know.
You know what I knew was Zack Snyder? Do you know what I knew was Zack Snyder? When he grabbed Batman's face. Do you really?
Oh.
That right there was the man. I'm like, yeah.
Like, hi, Zack.
You know?
Everybody knows I love me a good villain.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was beautiful. And then there was one line from Batman. He's like, oh, yeah, something is bleeding.
Yeah.
Or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, I mean, fine. Let's get into our verdict, which I'm pretty sure we kind of wrapped it up. So let's just drop our numbers. Anthony, what are you giving it?
Overall, I'm really happy with this movie. This is finally a DC movie that I could tell people, yo, you gotta watch this. Couldn't necessarily, actually that's a lie, I said that for 102. But like one of the few that I could finally say, yo, watch this movie. It's actually good. It's a good time. The characters are fun, and it's a superhero movie, and it's a good one. So, with that said, it's not a perfect movie, but I'm gonna give this movie an 8.75. Because it's not a 9, but it's not an 8.5. So I'm gonna give it an 8.75. I enjoyed it. I think DC did a really good job, and I think that this movie was, in a way, the reset for the DCEU, and I think it's setting up the future solo movies really well. So, good job.
I'm gonna go with 8. I believe that would probably go up to an 8.5 or a 9, even with the possible footage. But 8 out of 10. It was a great time. It could have been an awful misfire
Yeah.
with the development hell,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just thankful that it had great acting, it had great pacing, action. And yeah, I was just, really happy when I left the theater. And I'm like, that was great.
I'm gonna go with, I'm struggling here. I'm like between a 7.5 and an 8. But I think I'm going to land on a 7.75.
The mathematicians here.
Yeah, no, honestly, the first time I watched this movie, I really wanted to give it an 8. I thought it was great. I had a great time. It's everything that I look for in a movie. The heart was there, which is what I look for. The subtle jokes the jokes were there too, but you have to have a balance, right? The action, all of that was there.
I want to give it an 8.5 or a 9, but I feel the same
Yeah.
way. It's like
somewhere
maybe
in the
I'm
middle
just,
between there.
just because I'm a little biased,
Yeah.
right?
I was
Like,
just gonna say, yeah, if
A
I
little
wasn't a
bit
DC
too.
fan, I'd probably give it a similar score. Part of my score had to do with just even seeing these characters in general. So
Yeah.
there's that.
I'm on the fence because I did enjoy it. It made me feel really good. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because there is room for improvement. But overall, I really enjoyed it. All the characters meshed really well together. The chemistry was there, the storyline was there, the plot, the setting, and the action was there for me. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
All right, that will do it for this episode of Cinema Circle.
Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram page at cinema_circle. And if you have any questions or just want to hit us up, you can send us an email at cinemacircle1@gmail.com.
All right, from everyone here at Cinema Circle, I want, actually, Alex, thank you for joining us.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks for having me back. Had a great time.
Yeah, man, yeah, this was perfect. Yeah, it seems like you're only here on DC movies.
Yeah, I tried.
Oh, that's true.
I tried.
Anyways, all right, so from everyone here at Cinema Circle, stay blessed and keep it 1-0.
And remember,
Peace.
you can't save the world alone.